Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field, Team Alberta!
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the gold medal match of the 2025 U18 Women's Championship game. This game featuring the host city, Team Alberta, against Team Ontario. Myself, alongside me, Dave Standish. Dave, you've been busy today. You've got all 3 games.
Yeah, it's been fun, man. I'm grateful, believe me.
And now you get the feature of the nightcap. I guess the afternoon main game of the gold medal championship game between Alberta and Ontario.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been looking at the numbers, and I didn't catch the Ontario-Saskatchewan game, but you and I did the Sunday game, the nightcap between Alberta and Ontario, and both teams have some issues defensively and offensively. Ontario has been spectacular in per play offense. Like against Saskatchewan, they averaged like 11 yards per play, and they had 373 yards in rushing, but only 23 yards in passing. And Saskatchewan actually had 2/3 of the plays. So obviously Ontario showed efficiency beyond belief. Alberta at the same time got their victory against Quebec, and we'll talk about that as we go along.
Of course, in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge that we are playing on the original territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot First Nation chimes of the Siksika, Piikani, and the Kainai, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations of the chimes of the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Goodstoney, along with the Tsuut'ina First Nation and the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. And now on to Hello Canada.
Terrific crowd here today, Cole. The hometown getting some support,
At this point,
and
we'd like to
Ontario
call upon the captains
brought a lot
of each
of
team
fans
for
as well.
today's coin toss.
I can note, Dave, that a lot of the Alberta U16 team that had a little showcase out in Kelowna was invited out to this game today. They were told to wear their jerseys and they get free admission, and they are here proudly representing Team Alberta and some of their teammates throughout the SAFL League as well. And probably as well through the CDMFA, but yeah, it's good to see the crowd out here, teams supporting teams, and even Ontario's got a good-sized crowd. I know some of them were here in the first game this morning.
Yeah, national championship is always a big part, and we hope you're having fun this weekend watching your favorite player or your favorite province, or you're just a football fan and you're tuning in. So one way or the other, we appreciate it.
And as the coin toss is happening, our referee for today's game is Jesse Shogunat, umpire Bailey Grab-Mueller, down judge Shauna Volma, line judge Alexa Diab, and field judge Laura McKenzie. Alberta going to be wearing their classic white and blue jerseys, whereas Ontario had to ship out their classic red uniforms after controversially bringing a white jersey to the tournament this year. Well, also without telling anybody, apparently.
All right. Well, Speaking of jersey differences, Sarah Porter, 330 yards rushing in 2 games. She'll be wearing 34 in red, and this is just her first year at the event. I don't know if she'll age out, but the Peterborough Pagans very happy with Sarah's performance. A 98-yard long touchdown, along with Michaela Lopez, who also had a 93-yard touchdown against Saskatchewan, and Maëlle Parthenay, who had a 73-yard touchdown run as well. So these ladies from Ontario can explode and exploit corners and angles very, very well and get a lot done with very few attempts to do it.
Well, we saw that in the that feature game on night 1 where Ontario used Porter like 16, 17, 18 times consecutively to march down the field on a pair of drives, and then eventually gave it off to somebody else to confuse the Alberta defense and score the touchdown. They'll probably be trying to do a similar tactic, trying to catch Alberta off guard, because it worked extremely well in that first game. But Alberta, they were able to regroup and take on a very solid Quebec team that went 2-1 in this tournament, and hopefully they're able to build on that momentum and into this game in this rematch grudge match against Team Ontario.
Yeah, Ontario had 11 and a half extra minutes of possession. Alberta cannot win if that is the case this time. Ontario struggling with passing yards, only 62 passing yards in 2 games. Alberta a little bit better than that, but they did get the win against Quebec. Again, Quebec had 60% of the passing plays, so both teams being efficient. Alberta surrendered an interception and a lost fumble, so both teams have a lot to clean up, and I'm sure they've been watching all the film since Wednesday night. And best thing for Alberta, we start at 0-0.
And Alberta will be kicking off this game to Ontario, defending our broadcast right or the south end zone. Olivia Trudeau with a spotter down, holding the ball, and she kicks it towards the near side of the field, bouncing off an Ontario player. And an Ontario player scooping up the ball. That's number 88. Brilliant Hawthorne, and Hawthorne takes that one up to just about midfield before him being brought down. Lacey Muth in on the tackle for Team Alberta.
Yeah, if you can start in the center circle or beyond, you're in a good position. Again, Ontario in the red, going left to right. Alberta in the white, going right to left. And we'll see how this game gets started. Both teams scoreless in the first quarter on Sunday.
Of course, our Lamar rules to play for now. That first game was just a seeding game into the semifinals. Now is where it really and truly counts, as a handoff up the middle for Team Ontario. Sarah Porter, her first carry so far of this game. It's about a 4-yard gain for Team Ontario.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they will continue to run Sarah as long as she wants to be run. No doubt about it.
Ontario lining up in the shotgun formation. Porter in the backfield as the running back, motion from the left towards the right. Handoff on the fly sweep. As number 21, Katie Foley, cuts back towards the far side and brought down in the backfield towards the line of scrimmage by Brielle Mountjohnel Robchan. And that gets a huge roar from the crowd here at Shoaldice.
This is Katie's 3rd time at the tournament from Kingston, so she has familiarity with how this works. Of course, Ontario defeated Alberta in the gold medal game last year as well.
And Ontario lining up to punt on 3rd downs, but 3rd and 6. It's a long 6. Ball snapped. Punter back, has time, and sends that one down the field, where Lacey Muth will be back to return. She has an open hole on the far sideline, and it gets wrapped up by Waverly Kendall about the 42-yard line.
Robin Price on the return on the punt, and a return of about a dozen. Good start for Alberta, not being the shadow of their own end zones. Olivia Trudeau, 62 yards throwing. Oyenna Bradford, 25 yards throwing, and I'm sure we'll see both of them throughout the afternoon.
And so we know Bradford starting us off as the Alberta quarterback. She boots towards the left or the right-hand side, the far side of the field, wrapped up by the Ontario defense. It's going to be a short gain on the play. I believe that's number 48, Athena Mina, on the tackle.
Yeah, Trudeau also with a lot of rushing yards, 90 in fact in the 2 games. She's also the punter and the kicker, so Olivia will be very busy. We'll see how she rotates in with Owenna Bradford, Owenna from Red Deer.
Bradford again. Receivers motioning in the backfield. Missed handoff. There are some penalty flags as Bradford's dropped in the backfield as Taylor Hodgins getting the sack on the Central Alberta Fire quarterback.
It looked like a jump early, one way or the other. Not sure if Taylor was the culprit, but we'll find out sooner than later.
Bit of a discussion from the officials. They are talking with Team Alberta, so I'm going to assume it's against Ontario.
Offside. Ontario number 6.
And it will be offside called against Team Ontario's defense. So right after getting the sack, they get penalized. That's probably why they're able to get into the backfield so early. And we'll take another look here.
Yeah, that's why Hodges was able to get as far as she did, was because she committed the foul.
That movement right on the line and right into the backfield to bring down the quarterback. Motion from Alberta, swapping the line. Bradford taking the snap, handing it off. Working towards the near side. Alyssa Graham bumping out, stretching for the first down marker. I think she was out of bounds before she reached. Have to wait and see what the spot is from the officials.
I noticed Acacia Weiss, because she was the ineligible receiver, so she went about 10 yards ahead to set up a blocking pattern. Unfortunately, her teammate just wasn't able to catch up to her, but a good idea regardless.
It's third and about 1 and maybe a 1.5 for Team Alberta, as the reach from Graham was a tiny bit short of the first down marker. Bradford lining up under center. Motion in the backfield on the far side of the field by number 21, Leslie Graham. And Bradford takes the snap and forces her way through the middle. She will have enough for a first down for Team Alberta. It's our first down of the game.
Well, it's like Chris called it in the last game, a tush push. And, hey, whatever works. It's always fun to...
Well, the tush push is illegal in Canada, so I hope it's not that.
Well, a metaphorical tush push.
The tush push is used in the NFL, but it's frowned upon in the Canadian game, weirdly enough. One of the weird rules that we have up north. So Bradford back, taking the snap. Quick pass, trying to find Graham, and it falls incomplete.
Yeah, both teams less than 500 on, or 50%, whatever you want to call it, on passing efficiency throughout the week. But I like the quick release from Bradford. She's 5 for 13 coming into the game, so definitely some stuff they have to clean up.
Bradford lining up in the shotgun. 2 receivers to her left. Motion from Graham. Now Muth also motioning. Takes the handoff. And she heads toward the far sideline, brought down by Katie Foley near the line of scrimmage. It's going to bring up third down for Team Alberta.
Yeah, sweeping to the corner just hasn't really been successful for any of the 6 teams that I've seen this week. And again, just a swarming defense from Ontario once they realized what the play call was.
It's a little too easy to read, I think, at this type of competition versus your regular league play.
Well, when it's only 6v6, yeah, but it's a different story in the 12v12 game.
Bit of an awkward punt there from Olivia Trudeau under some pressure. It's fielded by Foley, and she's wrapped up by 3 Alberta defenders on the punt recover. And it's going to be a first down for Team Ontario at their own 37.
Yeah, and we can hear the fans in the stands from both teams cheering a lot. Not much wind in the first 2 games. That we see the flags flying a little bit after they were moving about 24/7 for about the last 3 weeks. We haven't actually seen much wind here all day today, which certainly helped the last 2 games.
Well, we've done fairly well in the weather so far. A little bit of wind isn't too bad, especially considering what we could have been having over the last week and a half. If the games are scheduled on different days, as a run up the middle from Ontario is stopped by the Alberta defense. A pair of defenders in on the tackle. Alexis Pearson was one of them.
Well, thank God for drainage, because I've driven by a couple of community soccer fields that are still underwater right now. Saturation.
Shoulder was hit hard during the 2013 floods, so they had to rework it, and drainage they did a good job on. As a snap there for Ontario. pass over the middle, and intended target was Braylon Hawthorne Harper, and it falls incomplete.
Braylon Hawthorne Harper falls incomplete.
Neither team really panicking right now, but neither have been able to really get anything going at this point. I don't know, maybe they're saving Porter for a big push later on, because there hasn't been this 12 consecutive attempts towards her either. Both teams looking to vary up the offense.
We didn't see that, though, until like the second half of that first game, though, on
Very
Sunday.
true.
There's a punt from Ontario, fielded by Lacey Muth, and she takes that one to up the far side, or sorry, at the near sideline. And it's going to be a first down for Alberta coming up.
Yeah, she was been mentioned multiple times throughout the week. A lot of productivity.
Alberta starting on in the Ontario half of the field. Ball at the 48. Owen Bradford still in at quarterback for the white and blue. Motion in the backfields as Bradford takes the snap. Quick pass, that's batted down. I believe that's Madeline Justinson that ends up having her arm on the block.
Well, this is the third game of 3 today. Quebec defeated Manitoba, and Team Indigenous did score a couple of touchdowns, but they lost this morning to a very hard charging and hard fighting Saskatchewan team. Saskatchewan finishes 2-1. Quebec finishes 2-1. Manitoba 1-2, and Indigenous 0-3. Team Ontario trying to go undefeated here this week.
Bradford back in the shotgun, one running back behind her. Muth motioning towards the line, a miscue on the toss. Now finding the intended running back, that's number 21, Alyssa Graham. And the miscue causing some troubles for Alberta, and they lose about half a yard on the play. It's going to bring up third down.
Yeah, I watch the NFL every week. I watch CFL, and even to this level, I just never really understood the obsession with the deep handoff, because 9 times out of 10, I don't see it work all that often.
It does sometimes.
I'll have to ask coaches one day what it's all about.
Just something different, a little bit of spacing. As a punt away from Olivia Trudeau on third down. Hops and a high catch from Katie Foley. She takes it towards the far sideline. One tackle blocks, getting some help. Olivia Trudeau unable to wrap her up. I'm not sure how she stayed in bounds, but she will go the distance to the 10-5 into the end zone. Touchdown Ontario. Massive return from Katie Foley.
100%. Yeah, that is an incredible effort. Maybe she should learn to be a tightrope artist in Cirque du Soleil, because I don't know how she did it either. That was very well done, and I know our officials were right on the line to make sure everything was cool. But 70 plus on the return, and I thought she was out a couple of times. Angles are so important in the 6v6, even though it is a narrower field, because you only get one chance, and you got to have your angle perfect, or else that can happen to you.
And the convert attempt is no good. Hardly got off the ground, and it's going to be 6-0 for Ontario with 4:58 to go in the first quarter.
Yeah, Ontario.
There you go. Here's a replay of the touchdown.
With a huge advantage at the moment.
Off the one hopper, breaks one tackle.
Well, it's actually going to be 90 yards. I don't know how she's not out there.
Yeah, that's really cool. And there.
Or there.
Ooh.
Like, there's not much more the Alberta players could have done, really. But
yeah, you definitely talk about tightrope walking. There was two very, very close.
You keep running until you hear the whistle.
And there was none until she got into the end zone. Yeah,
Alberta's going to really have to turn their offensive output around here very quickly.
Got to find a way to dig deep and respond. It's a short kick from Ontario, fielded by number 22, Kyra Litzenberger.
And now Porter's doing the kicking for Team Ontario as well. And
54-yard line.
Off the side of her foot, so probably not an intentional play, although we saw that on Sunday.
And whatever works.
Well, yeah, they almost got the ball back, whether they were intending to or not.
And Litzenberger in some discomfort at the end of that.
Well, during the first two games, Cole, just so many players were getting hurt and or at least needing attention. And, I mean, this is their third game in 8 days as we see Sean Walter, the Alberta head coach, looking on. And we'll see what kind of attrition these teams have today. They wouldn't do it any other way, and it makes more sense for everybody to fly home tomorrow or drive home tonight rather than next Sunday. But we'll see how much gas these players have left.
I cannot confirm the flight schedules for the teams departing. Olivia Trudeau back in at quarterback now for Team Alberta. It's her first drive, handing it off. Taking it up the far side is Abby Vu. She finds a hole around all the Ontario defenders, but hunted down by number 12, Robin Price. It's going to be a first down for Alberta.
When you're going to turn the corner like that, you have to have pretty much everything go right. And I was telling Chris in the last game how impressed I was with everything Quebec was doing, because all 6 people had to do everything correctly, and that's an Alberta example of that. And then just getting chased down and caught inside the 25.
Well, I saw on that replay there, Abby Vu getting some help blocking from her West Edmonton Raiders teammate Lacey Muth there, which also helped open that hole on that far side. As Trudeau tossing that one right past Muth, and Muth will have to jump on that one back at the 40. That's going to be a loss of about 13 yards.
You live by the pitch and you die by the pitch sometimes, but again, there's still 28 minutes to go. 40 minutes to go in a productive first quarter for Ontario. Alberta trying to set themselves up here for a response.
Yeah, but if you're responding, you can't go backwards.
Correct.
Motion on the line from Alberta. Still Trudeau in the shotgun, takes the snap. It's a high snap, under pressure, and tight defensive coverage from Team Ontario, denying that passing opportunity.
Yeah, very well read from Taylor Hodges. Cumberland Panthers. 3rd and 23. Ontario knew that Alberta could only run a certain number of plays to try to recover that 23 yards in one play.
Oh, and you send the house, and it's a little easier to get back to the quarterback as Olivia Trudeau punting that one away on 3rd down. It's going to hop and skip and finally be fielded about the 15-yard line. Finding a hole again as number 21, Katie Foley, and this time she's going to be brought down inside the 40. There are some flags down on the play this time.
Well, when you see that replay, you'll see one white jersey or one red jersey among 5 white jerseys, but she still makes progress.
Let's wait and see what this penalty call is for.
Illegal blocks. Ontario, number 36. 10-yard penalty would be applied from the 25-yard line. First down.
The illegal block will send that back.
And now we know why.
Watching the replay here, see if we can see the illegal block in it.
Will be first down Ontario on their own.
Hard to tell. Might not have been in the camera angle.
Well, 10 yards back from the location of the infraction, so they'll start at the 15.
Pretty much right where Foley caught it.
I don't think they've been this further back in the Alberta game before, so good special teams work from Alberta along with their offense to force Ontario behind.
High snap, a toss for Ontario, and it's recovered by Team Alberta. The officials calling that an incomplete pass despite it being a toss. Erica Kambula was the one that jumped on the loose ball, and great hands-up play from the Cold Lake Royals player, but the referee's saying that was an incomplete pass, and it's going to remain Ontario ball, 2nd and 10.
And you'll get the view from our down camera.
That's close, Dave. That's very close to being a lateral.
Yeah, very close, but a few inches ahead.
Yeah. Referee did get the right call, so I will acknowledge that. Deep pass there, wide open receiver. That was Braylon Hawthorne. Harper, the intended targets, and it falls incomplete.
Again, not sure what. Not that we expected the Porter show to continue, because you know that Alberta would be prepared, but we haven't seen much of her since the first possession, and now she is long snapping for Price.
Swiss Army knife for a player.
Absolutely.
As a booming punt towards the near sideline from Team Ontario. We'll have to wait and see where that went out.
Travel out of bounds.
It's going to be good field position from Alberta, spotted about the 32-yard line.
And they seem to get more going as Trudeau took over. But again, she was only 6 for 14 coming into the game for 62 yards, but had rushed for much more than that on her own.
Well, that's something we saw in the Quebec game on Wednesday, where Alberta was starting in Quebec's half of the field the majority of the time, and that's why they were part of why they were so successful in that game.
And why they needed so few plays to score so many points.
Under pressure, Trudeau scrambling up the middle, still going, and will be wrapped up by Team Ontario. That's number 12, Robin Price, making the tackle.
Trudeau getting the 18-yard line.
Trudeau getting into the red zone with that.
And into the penalty area, depending on what sport you're following. Of course, we've still got we've got the blue marking on the field, so the end zone is only 10 yards deep.
Trudeau lining up in the shotgun, 2 receivers in the backfield to her right. Motioning now towards the left, and a flag from one of our officials. They didn't like something they saw.
Either the linebacker or the center moved.
It's going to be procedure against Alberta.
Procedure, Alberta number 55, 5-yard penalty.
That'd be the center. We saw that a couple times in the Quebec game too, just in that middle game where the center would move the ball pre-snap, and correction, it wasn't the center. The center was the player beside 55, but 55 did move. But like I was saying, we saw that in the Quebec game where the center moved the ball and the referee had to stop and actually have a conversation with her about how to set up prior to the snap. And a pass here from Trudeau, wide open receiver, caught and brought down. That's 12 tackling 12. Dot Trudeau on the reception. Brought down by Robin Price.
Yeah, I don't think they connected on too many over-the-tops back on Sunday. So well done for them to go for it deep in the Ontario zone, where they may not have a little further right, perhaps at midfield or in their own defensive half. And you see just the quality of the catch and the landing based on our on-field camera.
Of course, that Dot Trudeau and Olivia Trudeau connection that we saw a fair amount of times against Quebec. So Olivia Trudeau now lining up under center, takes the snap, pushes through, and Alberta's on the board. This game is now level.
Terrific individual effort. She knew that they knew what the play call was, but she just never stopped. I mean, national championship game, trying to get revenge for last year. There's no reason to leave anything on the field.
Well, last year and also last Sunday, too.
And last Sunday. You can, as we always say, you can sleep on the bus. And Trudeau can sleep in the back of Mom and Dad's car back to Airdrie.
Yeah, just how Coach would have drawn it up. Just force yourself right through the middle and get that 1-yard score. Now we have the important extra point. Ball down, and the ball is through. Alberta leads 8-6.
Yeah, 1 for running, 2 for kicking to encourage the kicking game. And kicking has been an adventure so far today. But that one right through the pipe.
Portia Tomlinson, the kicker from the St. Albert Valkyries. Giving Alberta that 2-point lead here late in the first quarter. Of course, we'd like to thank Tourism Calgary for all their support in this year's tournament, including a special surprise that'll be following this game. And we'd also like to acknowledge the Government of Alberta for their generous financial contributions for the U18 National Tournament and their continued support to minor football in Alberta.
And now Trudeau gets to kick off after her own touchdown.
I'm not sure how often that happens. I know it happens a bit more in the high school and the minor league levels, but once you get professional, it's not as often. It's fielded there by 88 for Ontario.
Oh,
Two
wow.
Alberta players run into each other, and she's going to take that to the house. That's Braylon Hawthorne Harper to the 10, and touchdown Ontario.
No matter what sport it is, if two teammates run into each other, you know there was a major miscommunication. Just get a sense of how many fans are actually in the stands. That's one of the side bleachers, so tells you that all the ones in the middle are taken. 2 kicks, 2 touchdowns for Ontario. Whatever way you got to do it, they're going to do it that way.
And an absolute momentum killer. If you're Team Alberta, you finally score an answer in this late in the first quarter, and then you give up the kickoff return touchdown. That's 2 special teams touchdowns for Ontario.
We had one. We had 2 in the Quebec game, 1 for each team, Quebec and
the convert hardly getting off the ground again, so it's no good.
Quebec and Manitoba, and I'm like, well, good thing we're not on TSN, or else we would have been giving away $1 million.
Yeah, the opening kickoff of the game for Quebec was returned for a touchdown.
We'll get a better sense of it here. One quick move, and then just all 3 went for a package tackle, and she slipped through extremely well. Braylon Hawthorne Harper, great job. She knew they were breathing down her neck, and the 3 Alberta tacklers all ran into each other.
So now if you're Alberta, you got to regroup and try to figure out how you can answer one more time. And if you're Ontario, you build on this momentum that you've kept from Alberta as a kickoff there, fielded by number 6 from Alberta. That's Ellie Pickering. She works her way up the near sideline before being hauled down.
Well, don't forget the previous kickoff after Ontario's first touchdown was the squib kick, the accidental one that started at the center line that allowed Alberta to start at the center line. It took a couple of drives, but that's what eventually started the process where everything was in the Ontario defensive end.
And even then, now Alberta is starting at their own 51, so if they can get the ball rolling a bit here, Dave, we might end up with the same situation. Bradford's back in at quarterback under the shotgun. 2 to her left. Muth close to going offside there. Had to hit the brakes pretty hard, and that'll do it for the first quarter as that pass falls incomplete.
Yeah, Tessa Muddle trying to little shimmy shake type move at the line of scrimmage, and then was out of position to receive the ball. You saw her kind of half hurdle it right there. And again, great pressure on the QB, and it doesn't take long to switch ends. Teams will play 12 more.
And during the quarter time break, we'd like to thank the Make a Diff Sports Foundation for their support in growing women's sports at the grassroots level, innovating and developing programs across the province since 2013. And we'd also like to give a shout out to Hilberg and Burke and NFL Canada for their support in providing special gifts to all of our tournament award winners. Bradford lining up in the shotgun once again. 1 running back behind her, 1 receiver out to the left, the far side of the field. A motion from Muddle, and a handoff out the middle for Alyssa Graham. Graham met instantly by the Ontario defense, and we brought down to the backfield by Madeline Justinson.
Yeah, great job by Justinson. I think Ontario knew that Alberta wasn't going to change the play call, and a good follow-up inside the circle and a sort of half suplex to bring her down officially.
You got to kind of figure out what plays are and aren't working, and that run up the gut like that was definitely one of the ones that's not working right now for Alberta, so you might want to, if you're the coaching staff, scrap that one off the order. Is that one bouncing back towards the middle?
Oh, wow.
Still loose. That was touched, and under pressure now is number 21, Katie Foley. Still on her feet, cutting back towards the near side. There's going to be a flag thrown. Foley will take that one up the near sideline. I don't think she's going to be caught. She's running out of steam. And Dave, unfortunately for Foley, I think that's going to be coming back. There was a flag thrown pretty early in that return.
A couple of missed tackles from the team in white and blue. Kind of a crazy sequence.
And Foley looking dejected in the end zone, running all that way.
But if an illegal block is what gave her the time and space, then she can't argue it too much.
Return, illegal block, Ontario, number 36.
You got to feel for the Ontario player. playing and coaching, that's one of the penalties that you really hate to see as a coach, and Foley, the player returning that, not happy.
And she's also out of gas, so she can't help her teammates as much as she could as they'll play offense on the complete opposite end of the field. But yeah, the crazy bounce that the punt even took to begin with pushed it all back 15, 20 yards. And then again, the Alberta player misses the tackle but ends up taking one of her teammates out completely by accident. So.
And the illegal block penalty will take that back to the 10-yard line.
It burned some time off the clock, but not much else besides that.
Mel Parthenay back in the backfield in the shotgun for Team Ontario, taking the snap, faking the initial handoff and handing it up to Porter, who takes that one up the middle. Alberta's defense was ready for it. And Braille McDonald, Rob Chan, and Alexis Pearson in on the tackle.
Terrific work here from Ontario in the execution. I don't think I've seen that all week. And Alberta did read it very well. But is it me, Cole? But I think Alberta and Ontario basically were. But I think I made the comment that they were between or they weren't inside the hash marks. They were on the outside of the hash marks. Now both of them are trying to bring it up the gut, and neither one has really had much success. That being an example.
Miscue in the backfield on the handoff as Parthenay tries scrambling forward. She's brought down again. I believe that's by number 80, Alexis Pearson.
Yeah, she's got 127 yards in rushing coming into tonight, but only 2 for 12 in passing against Saskatchewan. So
I want to make a correction. There's Gabriella Grattan on the tackle.
So they certainly had to change what they were doing. Again, they were 330 on passing and 20 on 330 on rushing and 20 on passing against Saskatchewan back on Wednesday.
And that ball on the punt hopping straight up in the air, a little bit difficult to handle for Elliot Pickering, and she just jumps on it smartly because she had touched it and Ontario was bailing down.
First down, Alberta.
Look at this bounce, just straight up in the air, and then Pickering misplays it.
Yeah, the Saskatchewan returner did a great job of catching it in the air and building off the acceleration up to the point of the catch. She was able to get it probably an extra 10 to 15 yards per punt return just based on that skill set.
But here's where that field game comes into play, where Ontario just had to kick off from inside basically their own goal line. Now Alberta starting from inside Ontario's 35 as when Bradford under pressure hit as she throws. That pass falls incomplete.
Again, Ontario, same with a lot of other sports. Just get your hands up. If you have the time, just get your arms up. You never know, and that's one of the times it paid off.
Just an absolute collapse of blocking from that Alberta O-line allows Ontario's 3 defenders to get through. See what happens on this play is motion into the Alberta backfields. Handoff to Muddle, and she takes off. Gets about 7, maybe 8 on the carry before being wrapped up by a few Ontario defenders.
And notice the Alyssa Graham's lead blocking as she motioned to the near side.
She was close to holding the Ontario player, but right as the Ontario player started to turn, she was smart and let go.
Yeah, Justison couldn't be stopped forever, but again, a great lead.
Third and about 2.5, maybe 3. Just Bradford back in the backfield, motion from Graham, and now Muddle. Muddle takes the handoff, and Graham helping block up field. Muddle will take that one to the far sideline before being brought down. And it's number 23. Again, Justinson in on the tackle for Ontario.
And again, Litzenberger, the left guard, does a spectacular job of cutting off the defensive lineman. Just watch 22 in white. Just that little touch, and then the follow-up afterwards. And then again, Graham doing the work.
Sometimes you don't need much. You just need to get in the way enough and turn the defender and make them go up the wrong hole. And there's your gap in Alberta. Going back the other way now with Muddle towards the nearest sideline. This play seems to be working, and they're going for it. And Muddle brought down eventually on the near sideline.
They like the sweep left or the sweep right, and as you said, if it works, keep doing it.
It'll be second down.
2nd and 5 coming up.
Right towards the sideline play. It's number 81 for Ontario. Khaleesi Daniel in on the tackle. Spradford lining up in the shotgun again. 2 in the backfields to her right, or the near sideline. Motion again. There goes 1, there goes 2. The handoff this time to number 9, Abby Vu, cutting back up the middle, or up the sideline. And Justinson will be there to stop that running play, so not as successful on that carry.
Well, almost a duplicate call to the play about two plays before that. Justison realized that was a duplicate call, but then Vu is able to cut back and get a couple more yards, because you just never know with forward progress.
And you see on the replay there, Lacey Muth missing her block. That's why the Ontario defender was able to get through and make that tackle.
Their ability to read what's happening and adjust at a moment's notice is what's so impressive.
And Alberta trying to figure out what's going on here. I think they're going to be going for a field goal here, Dave. Placing the marker down on the just outside the 18-yard line, so we'll call it an 18-yard attempt. Portia Tomlinson back to kick. Ball down. And it's good. 3 points for Team Alberta. An 18-yard field goal. Makes it a 1-point game with 6:21 to go.
Portia Tomlinson from the St. Albert Valkyries. Well, didn't have another blink of an eye to get that one off, or else it would have been sworn by Ontario. But great job, and right through, and +3 Alberta.
That was a line drive through the uprights.
I had a feeling it was just going to bounce off the crossbar, but it was about 2 football-sized.
No, from our vantage point, it looked like it was could have gone wide too. I really wasn't sure where it was going. I had to wait for the head of ref to signal if it was good or not.
Like you said, like a line drive, similar to golf. It was just going to follow one direction.
Olivia Trudeau back to the field for the kickoff for Team Alberta.
It's a busy place today. So Softball Alberta hosting their provincials.
Squib kick from Trudeau. Ball drops loose, and Trudeau jumping on the loose ball. That's a costly error for Team Ontario. Some of the referees saying Ontario had possession. I don't think she did. She jumped on the ball and it squirted free instantly.
Well, this is the first time I've seen Ontario sort of playing on the back foot and not having the momentum or the confidence.
Well, here's the kick. We can watch the replay here. The Ontario player jumps on the ball. Her knee hit. She never had possession.
I don't think she had absolute possession either.
I think that is the wrong call by the officials. The officials have been doing a great job throughout this entire tournament, but I don't think they got that call correct there.
Well, if this was the NFL, you'd be able to take a 20-minute coffee break while they were going over every angle of it.
Regardless, Parthenay is back in the shotgun for Team Ontario. Gets the snap, fires it off the hands of the receiver and right into Brielle McDonald-Robchan's arms, but it falls incomplete, and Brielle is not happy about that one.
It went off Pearson, then it went off Parter, then it went off Brielle McDonald-Robchan's hands as well from the Calgary Wildcats. Is that the boys program?
She plays for the Bantam boys and the Saffel girls as well.
Wow. That's good time management.
She was actually the Division II MVP for the boys league.
Fantastic.
So she knows what she's doing. Lots of football experience. And Parthenay's faking the pass, still scrambling, brought down in the backfield by Alexis Pearson. That's going to be a loss of about a yard.
And there was no lane downfield. I was watching 2 different receivers. Neither one of them were in a position to receive a ball that she might have thrown.
Pump fake there, pump fake again, and nowhere to go, nowhere to scramble, no open targets, and
just take the sack.
Half a yard loss. I almost wonder if she hesitated on the second one based on where the line of scrimmage was, maybe not knowing. Because she was flirting with the line of scrimmage.
We need those yellow lines on the field.
Ontario punt away to Alberta. That one touched Lacey Muth, and she'll have to go back to pick up that. She kicks it and eventually will jump on it under heavy pressure from the speedy Sarah Porter.
Yeah, big punts. That probably took 18 yards from the point that she touched it to where she's actually, her and her team are actually going to start with it.
I know you're taught to catch it in the air, and that's the thing you want to try to do, but when you're coming at it at a weird angle like that, you're almost better to let it bounce. The other thing to note on that too is you never try to just lean over and bend over and pick it up, because that's where you get where that incident happened where she ends up kicking it. Honestly, your best bet is to dive on it sideways, fetal position, sideways, slide it straight onto the ball. And there's hardly any chance that anyone's going to steal it from you in a scrum either if you do that.
Sounds like a sound strategy.
It's things we get taught as players, and
of course.
Sometimes you don't think of that in the heat of the moment, though, as a pass there from Trudeau to Muth, going right back, trying to build the confidence on the punt returner, and it's going to be about a 4, maybe a 5-yard gain for Team Alberta.
Yeah, they'd want to definitely make something happen, either use the entire 4:20 that's left on the clock and not give Ontario a chance to reply and have some momentum going into halftime, because again, Ontario just really hasn't had any negativity in the first two and a quarter games until now.
Olivia Trudeau with 2 West Edmonton Raider players on her right now, moving towards the left, taking off. The 3 Raiders will scramble towards that far sideline before being brought down by a pair of Ontario defenders.
Forced out by number 81.
It's going to bring up 3rd down for Team Alberta and about 3 yards to go.
Again, Ontario bending, not breaking, willing to give up some yardage so that 3rd and middle or 3rd and long is the result.
And Kaylee's Daniel in on the tackle again for Team Ontario as Alberta back to lining up to punt on 3rd down. Ball snapped and ball kicked away high by Portia Tomlinson, and it bounces out of bounds inside the 50. It's going to be Ontario's best field position in a hot minute.
Absolutely, and if they can use the last 3:30 to burn off the clock and get a touchdown and fix their convert issues, they could possibly be up by as much as 9, which would be a 2-score lead, which again would be a huge momentum factor going into halftime. Carly Manners, the head coach, as you just saw from our down low camera.
Parthenay back in the shotgun, takes a snap, firing it up the middle, finds her receiver, Madeline Justinson, who's instantly wrapped up and brought down by number 11, Alexis Penno.
That's a hard landing for both of them, but they know what's at stake today, so they're going to put their body...
Oh, correction, Dave, that fell incomplete.
Second down.
Yes, it did.
From our vantage point, it looks like she had the catch, but officials say otherwise. Gordy's doing a bit of a loot launch. Calgary Bandit Football Association mascot wearing repping Team Alberta today. Snap from Parthenay, throwing towards the near sideline, well over the head of her intended target, number 88, Braylon Hawthorne Harper, and it falls incomplete.
Well, it's nice to see some familiar faces from Football Alberta. Their offices are in Edmonton, like 98% of the provincial sports organizations are, all in one big building in Alberta. But nice to see Tim and some familiar faces make the trip down and join us here in Calgary for this event.
Well, I believe this is the last national tournament that's on right now. Of course, we had the U18 boys tournament that was happening in Nova Scotia earlier this week, and Alberta coming back and winning that one late in overtime against Team Ontario.
I still got to watch that game. I've been so busy with these guys.
Punt away from Ontario on 3rd down, and taken towards the near sideline is number 6, Ellie Pickering, and she's brought down by a pair of Ontario defenders and a late flag that sailed to the moon.
Yeah, again, Alberta seems to have more success between the hash mark and the near blue line.
I get throw on the flag to make sure it's visible, but I'm not sure you need to throw it that high. Surprised it landed.
Well, very little wind today.
during the return. Necessary roughness.
A blindside block called against Alberta.
Yeah, I saw one Ontario player just kind of flying and landing on the ground out of nowhere that had nothing to do with the return itself, but now we know where that came from.
Watch number 7, Brielle McDonald-Robson on the top of your screen there on the blue helmets of the Ontario player. And that's where that penalty call was.
Yeah, 87 with the shoulder check, or 97.
I called it on 7.
Well, there could have been.
Watching 7, I'm like, okay. Not sure that's the right number, but penalty nonetheless.
A shoulder check is a shoulder check. That won't mean anything until October.
And Olivia Trudeau taking the one towards the far sideline, wrapped up by a pair of Ontario defenders.
But you noticed during the return, McFall ducked her head so that the ball went just a couple of inches over her head, or else that could have been a disaster for the return team.
Ontario making a collective effort on that tackle, bringing down the Alberta quarterback.
Yeah, you could see the blocking pattern, but again, if you stay with them too long, you get a holding call, so you have to release, and then eventually the opponent tackles your teammate.
Motion on the line from Team Alberta as Trudeau's back in the shotgun. Motion towards the near side, taken there as Abby Vu.
Oh boy.
A few Ontario players run into each other. Abby Vu has enough for the first down, but there is a penalty marker down.
Well, 2 linemen took down, it looked like Price. Looked like each one of them got a shoulder. Not that that's necessarily illegal, but I guess we'll find out here.
And a holding penalty called against the offense.
Again, exactly what you want to avoid. But yeah, the double team block there just on the edge of your screen. And then she was down, so her Ontario teammate tripped over her. And unfortunately, they couldn't get any more yardage, although it was coming back regardless.
So 2nd and 13 for Team Alberta, back at their own, I'll call it the 27. Olivia Trudeau lining up in the shotgun, one running back behind her. Slot back to the far side of the field, dropping back, has some pressure now. And tight coverage from the Ontario defense. That pass falling incomplete.
Yeah, 3rd and long here for Alberta.
Coverage on the play by number 12, Robin Price.
Robin Price from Sault Ste. Marie with the tight coverage. Bring up 3rd and long for Team Alberta here with 1:53 to go in the half.
Lots of 2s and 3s, meaning years at the event, so a lot of players from Ontario and Alberta.
It looked like it might have been tipped on the way through.
Seeing each other for the 2nd time in a row in the gold medal match.
A punt away from Alberta on 3rd down, and the Ontario punt returner, number 21, Katie Foley again, this time wrapped up inside the 45.
We'll have halftime stats for you at the end of halftime, if not right at the end of halftime.
Of course, I'd like to thank Glenn Fletcher Weddings and Oculus Private Wealth for their financial support and event management, making this year's tournament shine like never before. Parthenay in the shotgun. 2 in her backfield. Sweep. Handoff to number 88, Hawthorne Harper. She works way towards the far sideline and is wrapped up by the Alberta defense.
Terrific battle between Michaela Lopez and Alexa Penno. 11 white and 31 red on the far side. Penno trying to do what she could to prevent the runner from turning the corner. You'll see it in the top of your screen. Couple of hits together. And then Penno's able to join the tackling team to limit the gain.
Parthenay taking a snap, scrambling towards the near side, throws, and perfectly timed hit from Isabella McFall, denying that passing opportunity. Intended target was number 33, Corinna Grant.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about perfect timing, a quarter second early, and that is penalized for sure. So that's rep after rep after rep in practice.
Yeah, ball got right into Grant's hands, and then she was hit by the Alberta defender, and that popped loose instantly, so incomplete pass, and Ontario line up for a punt on 3rd down. That one right through the legs of the punter, and she's going to take off. That's number 12, Robin Price, and she's brought down by Brielle McDonald-Robchan. That's a turnover on downs, 1st down for Alberta.
Price has been busy, not the way she wanted to get her name into the stats book on that one, but maximum effort.
That one wasn't really her fault, though. It was a bad snap that rolled to her, and she had to scramble to make something out of that scenario. And
yeah, definitely what I've noticed is the snapping wasn't great among the 6 teams on Sunday on day 1. Except for that play, it's been much, much better.
Get the nerves settled a little bit as you get more used to Calgary and the high altitude and the tournament life. Joanna Bradford back in a quarterback for Team Alberta. There's the motion. Snap. Faking the handoff, and she'll take off to the near side. There is a flag down as the ball pops loose as she's hit at the sideline, but it goes out of bounds. Bradford unhappy with the play. So you're smacking the ground after she got up.
Yeah, you can tell that everything is pushed to a higher degree today.
This game definitely means a lot to these players, and
we only play for a national championship once a year, if at all.
Number 8. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
Another illegal block penalty called against Team Alberta.
Well, the mic is working perfectly today for the officials. 1st and 20.
Take a look at the replay and see where that block. Yeah, right there from number 8. Shoved from behind. Can't do that. You got to keep the player in front of you. A little bit of undiscipline from Lacey Muth. Bradford back in the shotgun again for Team Alberta. Motioning her receivers towards that far side of the field. She throws it up the middle. That was nearly intercepted. Keely Daniel was had the best chance at that ball.
Yeah, it took the QB a couple extra beats to get the ball organized into her hand to make the throw. Perhaps that threw off the timing of the entire play. Good spiral, but just could not connect.
Bradford taking the snap, handing it off to Muddle, who takes the one at the far side. Wrapped up by Ontario's defense, and the referee stopped that one for forward progress. Justinson in on the stop for Ontario, 47 seconds to go.
Again, an attempt to turn the corner that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Justison was able to break away from her blocker.
And if you're Acacia Weiss there, you got to just find someone to block, and just kind of looked like a bit of a passenger on the play for Team Alberta. Awkward snap and even awkwarder kick for Alberta as that's fielded right at midfield.
Terrific tackling right in the circle.
Katie Foley brought down by Alexis Pearson.
Well, I think if you're Alberta, you're genuinely positive simply because their points are exclusively from kick returns.
Yeah.
Their offense hasn't really done a whole lot. Who knows? Maybe they're saving Porter for the second half, which is a realistic perspective.
Well, that's what they did on Sunday.
Exactly. So Alberta has to be prepared for that and know that Ontario is going to make some adjustments. But they love the lead right now.
Parthenay looking deep downfield, overshooting her receiver. She was able to find Braylon Hawthorne-Harper. She was probably gone.
Love to extend the lead if you can, for sure. As I said, if you could maximize the conversion, you'd be up by 2 scores.
There's Elsa Blom, the intended target, not Hawthorne-Harper. Hawthorne-Harper has been the intended target for the majority of the first half. Parthenay getting some movement from her receivers. There's the snap. It's moving towards the near side, and Brielle McDonald-Robchan defending that hit, the Ontario crowd not liking it. I could have seen how that would have been called a PI.
Again, perfect timing, according to the referees. She got her arm in just at the right moment.
It's definitely close. I could have seen that go either way.
A rare 3rd and 10, 2 and out here for Team Ontario.
And Alberta will call a timeout with 17 seconds left.
Ontario called timeout.
Manitoba finished this week 1 and 2. Indigenous 0 and 3. Saskatchewan 2 and 1. Quebec 2 and 1. Not only did the teams want to finish as high in the standings as they could, but I mean, realistically, more than likely, they're setting up their seeding games for next year already, which is a very unique form for any sort of event, no matter what the sport is, especially when there's a six teams in the event. We'll see if more than 6 teams enter next year, which could change everything. But
well, that's the interesting thing of it. If Alberta loses this game and takes the silver medal, they still finish second in the rankings despite having a 1-2 record. Quebec and Saskatchewan with that 2-1 record would finish below them. But that's just the advantage of, playing in that 1 versus 2 opener match because of the final last year. But we also could have, if Ontario loses, we have 4 teams on 2 and 1.
Correct.
There's a snap on the punt. Fired away by Ontario and hopping right over the returner, Ellie Pickering, and she has to go get that one. And there's an Ontario player that goes and picks it up, and that is not the punter.
Yeah,
because the punter's back at the 50 watching everything that's going on.
She did not touch it that I could see, Ellie Pickering.
That is Ellie Pickering. Ontario jumps on the ball, flag on the play.
Which will be no yards.
Yeah. It's a great heads-up play to make because there's a loose ball, but you have to make sure that defensive player, the returning team actually touches it. And there was no touch at all there.
15-yard penalty, first down, Alberta.
Unfortunately, you get a little unlucky with the bounces, but perhaps the punt returner has to be faster to prevent those kind of bounces. That's only for a coach to determine. One open shot for a 65-yard run. What are you thinking?
6 seconds to go. Yeah, I don't know. 6 seconds to go. You're at your own 46. It's your playbook is kind of limited if you're wanting to score a touchdown. You gotta hope that you can break something deep. Ontario's got 2 linemen, essentially 4 lining up deep downfield. They're expecting a deep pass from Alberta, and Trudeau will just take off, calling her own number. She should slide if she wants to get another play, and she is tackled. It's going to be close to the end of the quarter time.
She'll take the ball herself off to...
I think that was a good strategy to see if she could leave the play with 1 second remaining or not. Because everyone in a red jersey expected something deep. And
There was 1 second left on the clock when the play went dead.
We're adding a second onto the clock, Dave. We get one more chance for Alberta. They are calling a timeout.
And again, smart play. She wasn't going to go 65 yards based on how deep they were, but if she could do it in the 5 seconds, again, I would say that's not what what Ontario was anticipating defensively. So, a smart play.
She's just got to learn to slide. Just guarantee, play it safe, slide, take that QB slide. And
I was thinking about that when she was running in the first quarter. I'm like, yeah, let's go feet first.
Well, that way you guarantee the clock stops too, right?
Exactly. That's a great point.
Well, it stops in the sense of you get another play because the clock would still run because it's a running play. Regardless, 1 second to go, ball at the 50. Ontario sending 4 back deep into their own end. And
well, I was thinking if we ended up with a 4-way tie at 2-1, we need a Cole Fortner spreadsheet to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that for this. Football Canada can figure that out.
I
Snapped
agree.
and handoff up the middle. Alyssa Graham taking that one, coming back towards the inside. And she'll be stomped at the 35-yard line. Now the half will end. Ontario 12, Alberta 11 through 2.
This has been a fascinating game. Ontario's struggling offensively, but they're getting points based on 2 successful returns, 1 punt return, 1 kickoff return. And they're staying in the game, but they're not allowing their defense to break, just to bend. And can they turn around the issues they have offensively in these next 9.5 minutes?
And with that, we'll be back in about 10 minutes' time for quarter number 3 in this gold medal game between Alberta and Ontario.
I just wanna let it go. Hit the playback. I know you're feeling this. Come on, baby, let's get ridiculous. Come on, baby, let's get ridiculous. Come on, baby, let's get ridiculous.
Football fans, here's your statistics from the first half of play. First downs, Team Alberta with 3, Team Ontario with none. Yards rushing, Team Alberta 101 rushing yards, Team Ontario 8. Team Alberta is 2 for 9 passing for 25 yards. Team Ontario is 1 for 10 for 0 yards. Total offense, Team Alberta 126, Team Ontario 8. No turnovers on the play either.
To be. It's red food with the basic needs. I whipped up, flipped up, a tasty treat. So get up, lift up, and move your feet. Yeah, this is how I roll. White no lenses, big afro. I rock little freak, so animal. And when I drop that beat, make the crowd go, oh. And I love to dance. This be the beat that'll shake your pants. Shake your pants, yeah, take a chance. And if you can't move feet, then wave your hands. Wanna know a little something about me? I was born to rock the party. I was born to rock your body. I'm fresh, I'm slick, I'm lottie-dottie. Oh. I'm laid back, I'm feeling this. Tonight's the night and I just wanna let it go. Hit the playback, I know you're feeling this. Come on, baby, let's get ridiculous. 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 Come on, baby, let's get ridiculous.
All right, hello and welcome back to the 2025 U18 Women's National Tournament between Team Alberta and Team Ontario, and we've had quite an interesting half of football. Just showing you the halftime stats right there.
Yeah, Ontario 8 yards in total offense, but with a 12-11 lead. And again, we'll see how both teams make adjustments in this second half. Ontario made terrific adjustments against Alberta after halftime. And again, the Porter factor hangs high as to what could take place.
Yeah, total offensive yards, according to our statisticians, 8 for Ontario, 126 for Alberta. A little bit of an update there. And yeah, and that's because Ontario has had 2 touchdowns come off of kicks.
Right, and well-earned kick returns. The final statistics for all the games will be available on the Football Canada website, both team stats and individual numbers as well. Again, Sarah Porter, 330 yards rushing, including a breakout for 98 against Saskatchewan, so anything and everything is still possible here. But Alberta in white going right to left will get the next possession.
Ontario to kick off to Alberta to start off the third quarter. Porter ran to the ball and she fires that one downfield. And Alyssa Graham will smartly jump onto that one and take the ball at the Alberta 40-yard line. No risk there for the white and blue.
Well, no, we've seen how the ball can bounce and how trailing behind it can be not at all what you want to do.
Olivia Trudeau in at quarterback again for Team Alberta, doing the rotational play with Wayna Bradford. 3 on the line. Now the swap for Team Alberta. We've seen that all week long here at this tournament. Trying to confuse the opposing defenses as a handoff there. Taken to the far side by Abby Vu, finding a hole, coming back towards the middle. And brought down a touchdown saving tackle by Keelise Daniel. Vu is nearly gone.
Right, and I think everybody in the crowd figured she was going to go along the sideline on the outside of the hash mark, but she made that brilliant cut at the last second to get probably another 15 to 20, as we'll take another look. Both teams have been big fans of just trying to turn the corner on the outside edge, but this time they make the adjustment. And the West Edmonton Raiders very happy with Abby Vu, her first ever national championship.
There's a line swap from Alberta, and no end will be called. Here is one of the linemen didn't get reset. Says that's a toss towards for Alyssa Graham. She works that one towards the nearest sideline, but that's going to be coming back.
Yeah, at that point, all you're watching for is to see if the runner fumbles the ball or not.
It was Emanuela Mekiongo that did not line up properly and drew the penalty flag for the procedure. And penalties can be costly. Dave, you jinxed the mic. So it was working perfectly, and that one, that time it was choppy.
Well, there is a bit of wind.
Penalty got declined by Ontario. It's going to set up 2nd and 6.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
1st and 15 or 2nd and 6. And you take your gamble as Olivia Trudeau takes the snap, works her way back towards the near side. Charging forward. Finally brought down. It's number 51, Alyssa Pistrio on the tackle on the near sideline. It's going to set up 3rd down for Alberta.
Yeah, I think the perspective we see up here, Cole, is that Ontario were all fooled, I guess, for the first couple of seconds, and they all realized it, and then all came back to take it away from her and realized how they could cut her off before the first down marker.
3rd and 2 for Alberta. They are looking like they're going to go for it. Olivia Trudeau lining up in the shotgun, not in the punt formation. 2 receivers to her left, now motioning towards the right. Hand off to Abby Vu, and she has a hole around the outside. And again, tackled on that far sideline by Keelise Daniel. And it's a 1st down for Alberta.
You got to love a 3rd and 2 that gets you 20. Again, it looks like formationally they've made some changes, or they've made slightly different play calls. But everybody forces left and handles the Ontario defenders, which gives Abby all the room she could want.
Well, they ran that first play with Abby Vu around the far side, and then they ran the second play where they faked it, and Trudeau ran around towards the near side. So they kind of forced Ontario to respect it. And then went right back to the first play that worked and got them a lot of yards. This time Trudeau calls her own number, scrambling towards that far sideline, staying in bounds, and finally wrapped up. Number 12, Robin Price making the tackle for Ontario.
And at that point, Olivia just basically outrun and outgunned the Ontario defenders, not making her miss specifically, but just out sprinting. Again, liking the edges on those blue lines.
And cutting around that outside edge and then finding some extra gas on that sideline. Now lining up again, the shotgun again. 2 receivers to her right. Motion from Muth towards the near side. And now Muddle will follow. Getting that handoff. Working her way towards the near sideline. And Price in on the tackle again for Team Ontario. The Sudbury Spartans defender showing why she's here to play.
Tessa Muddle came into the game with 66 yards rushing and 16 receiving. Again, they want to go the wide angles, left, right, no particular pattern to it. But I was talking to Chris during our previous game about how Quebec and Manitoba were having difficulty getting anything up the middle, and how Alberta and Ontario didn't even really use that strategy back on Sunday.
Olivia Trudeau lining up in the shotgun. 2 receivers to her left side, or the near side of the field. So now motioning towards the right. Pass is complete up the middle to Kirkland Unger. Trudeau does get hit after she throws. No flags on the play. We'll bring up 3rd down for Alberta.
Yeah, it was 2nd and 9 from the 12, so now it's going to be 3rd and 3 from the 5.
Third down.
I think you just go for it here, and if you don't get it, you're pinning Ontario back in their own end. You could kick a field goal and get the lead, but still a lot of clock left in this game.
And honestly, the angle may not be that great for most kickers at this age group.
Hand off to Marl. She takes the one towards the far sideline. She's close to the first down marker. The Ontario fans thinks that she's short.
That's all that matters. You didn't have to cross the goal line for sure.
And it was not first in goal. We'll have to wait and see the spot. I think they might be measuring.
First measure I've seen all week.
And it's going to be a first down for Alberta. And just like that, the noise here at Shoal Ice in front of us changes from joy from the Ontario fans to joy for the Alberta fans. It's first and goal from the 2.
Alberta has found something since halftime, Cole, and Ontario has never had the chance to respond to it. And this has been the longest possession of the game, approaching 4 minutes now.
Olivia Trudeau lining up under center. We've seen her do the QB sneak earlier with success. Takes the ball, runs straight up the middle, and it's a touchdown for Alberta. A 2-yard rushing touchdown for Olivia Trudeau.
And the conversion makes all the difference because they lead by 5. And Olivia Trudeau has had a spectacular game so far. And right now, Ontario's going to have to reply with something that could include a kickoff return, but their offense is going to have to get rolling. Maybe they have made all the correct adjustments, they just haven't had a chance to show them off yet. We'll soon see.
Ball down, ball up, ball through. The convert is good again for Alberta. They now lead 19-12. I think Portia Tomlinson has been the most consistent place kicker for those extra points so far at this tournament.
Yeah, I would agree. And don't forget, fans, that Ontario has muffed both of their convert attempts. So would that make an ultimate difference? We'll have to wait and see, but a converted touchdown via the kick would give them the lead, or running would tie it up. But there's still 19:48 to go in this one. Oh, man.
Short kick from Olivia Trudeau hitting the returner. Ontario does jump on it, and Trudeau shaken up during that return. She does get up on her own power, and that's good to see. A little bit of concern potentially there for Alberta. Let's see. As she got dropped in the middle.
There have been some hard hits that all 3 games have just featured some back-cracking tackles.
Parthenay snapping the ball, handing it off up the middle. It's Porter charging way through. Brielle McDonald-Romchan on the initial tackle and got a bit of help from some of her teammates. It's going to be about a 5-yard gain for Team Ontario.
Okay, now here's the test. Do they run the streak Or does Alberta force them to try something different? She's lined up as a receiver on the near side.
Parthene lining up in the shotgun. One running back in behind her. Motion now. Porter will get the handoff on the fly sweep, but into the backfield as Erica Kampula to stop the run. The Alberta crowd loving that one.
Out from Cold Lake, about 4 hours north of Calgary. And Kampulu certainly stood out in the matchup against Quebec on Wednesday. And that was a monster momentum shift.
And now Ontario will line up for the punts, and we're seeing why Ontario only had 8 rushing yards in that first half. They're still not really generating much offense here so far in the third quarter.
It was a +5 and -5, so basically there's still 8 yards of total offense.
And Ellie Pickering will field that punt return in the air for Team Alberta. She'll be brought down by Kaylee Ryan.
Because this was their first possession of the half. So
Pardon me, Kaylee Ryan. Ball will be spotted at the 43-yard line. 6.5 to go here in the third quarter. Once again, we'd like to thank our amazing sponsors, Tourism Calgary and the Government of Alberta, for their support in this year's U18 Women's Championship. Of course, we'd also like to thank some of our football sponsors, Football Canada, Football Alberta, the CBFA, SAFL, the Calgary Stampeders, and NFL Canada.
And of course, all the production being done by our great team at Sports Canada TV. I've been working with them off and on for 10 years, so hi to Choil and everybody behind the scenes. I'd love to keep it going with you guys, and highest class equipment and the most knowledgeable behind the scenes people you could ever want.
Wayne Bradford in at quarterback under pressure. She smartly throws that one away to avoid the sack. No help really from her offensive line as Ontario's defense was in that backfield pretty much right off the snap.
Yeah, no intentional grounding either. So Ontario's definitely going to need some sort of big momentum shift because Alberta's basically controlled everything really from about halfway through the second quarter straight through to now.
That's the one disadvantage about the spread O-line like that, where you only have the center and then your 2 wide receivers out. So if you're blitzing defense, you only have one person to get around. It's the handoff there for Muddle, and she takes that one toward the far sideline. Not really much in the way of blocking for Team Alberta, and Muddle will be wrapped up after about a 5-yard gain.
Now, this is an interesting location for what they might decide to do.
You are ahead. Your defense has been doing well. I think the smart thing to do here is punt for field position.
Yeah, because even if you
and I think that's
tried it and it didn't work, that might give them the momentum shift to change it, or it's not worth the risk.
I think that's what the plan is, because Olivia Trudeau is back out on the fields, walking back into the punt formation. Kind of like a flying V up ahead for Alberta. High snap. Trudeau on the fake. Finds Muddle wide open. Up that far sideline, only one to beat, and runs right into Katie Foley. And that trick play worked to perfection for Team Alberta.
If it was going to be a fake, I didn't think it was going to be a pass fake. I thought it was going to be a run fake like we saw earlier, but
yeah, that caught me off guard too there, Dave.
Brilliantly executed, and the best catch of the day in terms of concentration and forward momentum for yak yards, and she was all by herself.
Trudeau had no intention to kick that. That was a pass all the way, Muddle wide open.
And Ontario uncomfortable for the first time all week.
Line switch for Alberta. High snap for Owen Bradford. Shovel toss for Alyssa Graham. There are flags down near the line of scrimmage. I think one of the Alberta players lined up slightly off during that switch. It's the one issue with that trying to catch the defense off like that. You know, if your players don't line up correctly, it's going to get penalized and called every time.
Trudeau was dealing with Pastrito, 51. We'll see if that's an element of whatever this call is going to be.
No offside right up the middle for Team Alberta. We'll probably see that on the replay here. There you go. That 28 on the high part of your screen there, and just a little bit lining up offside. Of course, that was off of that player's switch. Bradford lining up under shotgun. 2 receivers out to her left-hand side, or her right-hand side. They motion. High snap, handoff to Muddle. Tries to run that one up the middle. Has about 6, maybe 7 on the carry.
Taken down by number 51, Alyssa Pistrito.
Yeah, again, if it wasn't for those 2 kicks,
Second down.
it's 19-0 right now. So Ontario has kept it in. That's why it's a 3-aspect game: special teams, offense, and defense. And they are still in this special teams, or excuse me, a defensive takeaway would be huge right now.
Bradford lining up under center again, or under shotgun again. Under some pressure, throwing that one up the middle, finding Alyssa Graham, and she's wrapped up after catching that. That's Taylor Hodgins in on the tackle. Pardon me, no, that was Robin Price, and Graham under a little bit of discomfort after getting hit.
Yeah, she's going to need a couple of seconds here. Batting her fist down on the ground. She does not want to be out of this by a long shot.
And we can kind of see it, not really, you can see it a little bit. If you look right north of the 50-yard line, right under the Alberta flag, you can kind of see the trophies for after the game.
Yes, that's correct.
It's a little hard to see on the camera angle, but we have a nice vantage point from up here in our broadcast booth. Looks like the Lombardi Trophy down there.
All the athletes playing in the 2025 U18 Women's Championships.
I know the Lombardi Trophy is worth more money and everything, but I think I'd rather take the hoist the Grey Cup.
I agree.
It's more of an actual trophy. Snap there, handoff from Bradford to Muddle, taking the one up the far sideline on the 3rd down play. Ontario's defense will deny that run. It's going to be a turnover on downs. First down for Ontario at their own 33.
First turnover of the day of any kind for Team Alberta.
I think for both teams.
Yep, exactly. And I think perhaps Alberta thought that Ontario knew it was going to be a punt and would have attacked more aggressively, but who knows? Better to not speculate about a coach's decision-making.
Tossing that one to Porter, who runs towards the near sideline, wrapped up by Brielle McDonald-Robchin and Isabella McFall.
Well, definitely Porter's been used in other roles. She's punted, she's long snapped, she's blocked, so
Short gain on the play, second down.
I didn't see the Ontario-Saskatchewan game, so it can't be an issue, but it can't be an issue of running out of gas after 190 that day and 140 back on Sunday. Or else she'd been on the bench the entire night.
Parthenay getting the snap, faking the toss, throwing deep downfield, tight coverage, but it's caught downfield by Quinna Grant, and she's instantly tackled by Alexis Peno, the defender, who was downfield covering her.
Biggest play of the day for Ontario. That definitely brings the stats up and gets them only 49 yards away from pay dirt, but not much more that Alexa Peno could have done because she just didn't want the PI call or the defensive holding call. We'll take a look at it as it lands.
But it shows you how perfect that pass was, just to drop right in there, right in between the receiver and the defender.
Yeah,
big first down for Ontario. Snapped ball there, hand off to Porter, who runs right up the middle. Brielle McDonald-Robchan making the tackle.
And perhaps this one big play is what flips the script and flips the momentum.
Be a gain of 5 yards on the play.
Minute 10 to go in the third quarter.
Second and 6 coming up for Team Ontario. Wearing those classic reds. Motion from Porter towards the far side of the field, faking the handoff as Parthenay under pressure in the backfield. McFallen and Robchan wrapping her up. McIntosh joining in on the tackle. It's going to be a loss of yards for Ontario. Third down coming up.
Huge play for the Alberta D, not only to push Ontario back, but if she escapes, that's probably 15, 20 yards for Maëlle Parthenay, who had a 73-yard long touchdown against Saskatchewan.
I just like the replay angle there where it basically just looked like McIntosh just came in and just bear hugged everyone down to the ground. It's like, no, you're getting tackled. I don't care if I'm bringing my teammates with me. So Ontario punts away on 3rd down. Good coverage downfields from number 84, Paisley Freely.
Tackle on the play by number 84.
17 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter, Dave.
First down.
Yeah, Alberta would love another long drive here, just like the long drive to begin the second half.
Of course, I'd like to thank some of our amazing sponsors: Hilberg & Berg, Oculus Private Wealth, Lynn Fletcher Weddings, Sleek Science, Tourism Calgary, the City of Calgary, the Make a Diff Sports Foundation, and the Government of Alberta, as Olivia Trudeau is back in at quarterback for Team Alberta. Receivers motioning towards the far side of the fields. Trudeau calling her own number, scrambling, now tossing. And it's Abby Vu getting absolutely rocked by Robin Price on that far side of the field.
Yeah, we've mentioned Robin quite a few times, DBLB from Sault Ste. Marie, as you mentioned earlier in the broadcast. And don't forget to stick around for the trophy presentations and the Player of the Game awards. And she's certainly gotten herself set up for that possibility, as the teams will switch ends and will play the last 12 minutes.
And this time I'd like to recognize our hard-working contributions of all the volunteers here at Shoal Ice Athletic Park, and most importantly, our tournament committee, as well as all of the volunteers from all the provinces that are participating, providing a fantastic opportunity to all of the athletes playing in the 2025 U18 Women's Championship. And what a championship it's been.
Oh, it's been a terrific week, and the closest game is in the championship game, which is exactly what you want. I had a national championship baseball game here about 7 days ago that was 20-6. So this is a nice change.
And I can see some of the other teams are filling into our bleachers as well. Team Quebec sitting right in front of the Ontario fans as Trudeau takes that one towards the near sideline, wrapped up by a few Ontario defenders, and eventually play blown down as her forward progress stops, and Manitoba's down towards the far side of the bleachers with Saskatchewan near them.
Well, this is multiple drives in a row now that they've been forced to 3rd down. 2 drives ago is when they did the punt fake, but previously to that, they haven't been able to achieve 10 yards in 2 plays or less since that first drive of the half.
Different punter in the backfield for Team Alberta. It's Portia Tomlinson. She fires that one downfield and then bouncing back in towards the middle. A bit of confusion there for number 21, Katie Foley, and she's wrapped up by Alexis Pearson. Great coverage downfield from the Tabor player.
Pearson could not have timed that better. She was like 5.1 yards away when the ball was recovered. She sprints and then lays this hit in and drags the player back 3 or 4. Spectacular effort. That's someone who loves the game, that is for sure. Yeah, it has been a great week, Cole. Thank you for having me and the rest of the crew here. It's going to be weird to flip the CFL game on and remember that boys play football too.
That was a toss towards the far side. Instantly wrapped up by the Alberta defense. Brielle McDonald-Robchan bringing down Hawthorne Harper in close to the first down, or to the original line of scrimmage.
Short gain on the play, 2nd down.
And they've got this crowd behind them. This Alberta fan base has been loud and consistent all day long. And Alberta's team has just been able to build off of it very, very well and give them a lot to cheer about.
And that pass nearly intercepted. There is a flag down in the backfield. Alexa Pino close to getting the INT for Team Alberta.
Sherwood Park Rams. She lives in Fort Saskatchewan. This is her first time here at the National Championship. Of course, Alberta trying to do the double, boys and girls. Unfortunately, there was a face masking call by one of the Alberta players.
Unnecessary roughness. Alberta, number 97, face masking, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
All right, let's see what's going to happen now. It's 1st and 10. Ontario on the offensive half of the field. Trailing by 7 early in the 4th quarter. No wind to speak of. Maël Parthenay. Ready to take the ball in the shotgun. Clock running. 3 at the line. Motion with Grant. Overhead throw, no good for Grant as she cut through. Another flag on the field behind the line of scrimmage.
Ontario, number 28, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
And Alberta will choose to take the 10-yard penalty rather than 2nd and 10. Because they know that a lot of these players can break through. Lopez has a 90-yard long. Grant has a 98-yard, or Porter has a 98-yard long play. And Parthenay has a 73-yard long play. So anything is possible. So you might as well push them back as far as you can. Side pass, sideline, in and out. Good catch and run for Katie Foley, number 21.
Quickly pushed out of bounds by number 7, Brielle McDonald-Rolchan.
I have returned, Dave.
Short gain on the play, 2nd down.
2nd and about 18 to go.
So Alberta defense playing by committee, really not wanting the Ontario to have much advancement up the field. Parthenay scrambling towards her far side of the field, her right side, finding her receiver, number 33, Quinna Grant. She's going to be marked short of the first down marker, 3rd and about 5, coming up for Ontario.
Again, 11, Alexa Penno, terrific work to know where the yardage marker was and put on a solid tackle rather than a riskier style, which may have cut it by a yard or two, but it doesn't matter because it's 3rd and about 6. Clock time is still 9 minutes, so nothing for Ontario to panic about. But they appear to be going for it here, Cole.
Parthenay lining up in the shotgun. No players around her in the backfield. Looking deep downfield. Open receiver. It's caught. And hunted down by Brielle McDonald-Robchen, bringing down Braylon Hawthorne-Harper. A fantastic catch from Hawthorne-Harper to give Team Ontario a first down. It's going to be 1st and goal at the 6.
The big play for Ontario in the 3rd quarter was to her, and this big play now is to her as well, going over the top. And they have found that to be the most dangerous method of advancement so far. Everything else has not really worked for them.
Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's working for Ontario. Brielle McDonald-Robchen into the backfield. A little bit of help there from one of her teammates. Alexis Pearson bringing down the running back Porter in the backfield. They saw that happen a lot in that first game, and they're denying that running back who burnt them heavily.
Again, a tremendous read of the play and timing. This Alberta D has been terrific. 2nd and goal from the 11. Parthenay intercepted. Terrific job. Who else but Alexa Penno? She had been snake bit a couple of times, but gets the ball, runs it out of play, out of the end zone, and flips the script again. Alberta with another important defensive play as they have all day long. Ontario 0 points from anything besides kick returns.
Great heads-up play defensively, and what you need to do to keep that momentum if your team Alberta. Defense doing their job. It took them most of the field to get the stop, but the INT deep in your own end.
And Alberta's offense now has to do the job. Not that they have to score from 106 yards, but they got to give the defense some time to rest.
And keep that defense off the field as long as you can, as Olivia Trudeau hands it off to Alyssa Graham, who charges up the middle, breaks one tackle and cuts towards the near sideline, eventually brought down by an Ontario defender, and it's going to be second down for Team Alberta.
And avoiding the safety was extremely important. Alyssa Graham from Chestermere, which is about a 15-minute drive east of the city of Calgary, because if it becomes a 5-point lead, then all Ontario needs is a touchdown. They don't have to go for the crazy convert attempt, which they might have to if they still trail by 1 if they get a major. Trudeau
taking a snap and will scamper towards the far sideline, deep downfield, finding an open receiver. That's number 12, Dot Trudeau, and a big passing play for Team Alberta. Once again, that Trudeau to Trudeau connection working well for Team Alberta.
And Dot was waving, saying, "I'm open, I'm open."
And boy, was she ever.
And was she ever. That's one of the first real over-the-top successful plays that Alberta's executed. And that's definitely out of the shadow of the goalpost. They won't be giving up a safety anytime soon. Tremendous effort for about 30. And again, perhaps the defenders a little bit too busy watching the ball and forgetting about the player they had to defend.
Trudeau again lining up in the shotgun.
They
motion
back
now.
up.
Abby Vu cutting back up near those hash marks, brought down by 13 and 12 from Ontario. That's Robin Price and Taylor Hodgins.
And they're back. They're breaking tackles that they didn't on Sunday. Who knows why? But they just seem to be more aggressive, more tenacious, and that extra 5% effort seems to be what is separating them from their tacklers.
Trudeau again lining up in the shotgun. 2 receivers to her right, so the near side of the field there. Motion now. Snap back, and Trudeau finding that hole up the middle, and she takes off. She liked it, and she has enough for a first down and more.
But terrific work by the offensive players. If that was the called play, they confused the heck out of the defenders from Ontario in the red jerseys. Abby Vu, you'll see her right here cutting off a path and a desperation tackle, because I don't think anyone from Ontario was expecting a quarterback draw.
Again, Trudeau lining up in the shotgun. Motion now into the backfields. Looking pass. Under pressure. Fires that deep downfields. Closest one to the ball was Emanuela Mekiango-Kongi, and just fell incomplete.
Also a Calgary Wildcats player in the boys Bantam program. I'm not sure if she was eligible or not, and could have turned around. I'm going to assume that she didn't, that she wasn't, because she didn't turn around. But again, they need to get 10 yards every 2 plays here, even though they got 40 in the last round.
That's a Graham waiting in the backfield. She gets the toss from Olivia Trudeau, breaking through a tackle. Finally wrapped up, but she has 12 on the carry. Alberta rolling with steam now into the Ontario end.
If we had a side camera, Cole, you'd get a perfect perspective on the fact that if she continued to go wide, it would have been cut off quickly. But she made that last second move and then split 3 defenders and then got about 7 or 8 more. It's just that split-second decision-making, left, right. What do? I can go right and get a better angle, and look what they did. Just 3:15 to go here in the fourth quarter.
Sometimes you just got to figure out whatever works, and cutting back at the middle seems to work a lot of the time here as Olivia Trudeau takes off, calling her a number, wrapped up by a pair of Ontario defenders.
But it's that instantaneous decision making that can be a huge difference. And now if Alberta, one way or the other, can take a 2-possession lead, that was the big thing with the game on Sunday, was Alberta got it within 1, Ontario stretched it back to 2 again, and then Alberta just knew that they weren't going to be able to make it up with the amount of time left on the clock. 3-minute warning, so the clock will stop at the end of every play. So it's the timer's favorite time of the game.
Well, they got to pay the most attention. Trudeau lining up in the shotgun. 2 receivers to her near side. Motion now. Takes the snap. Likes that hole and cuts outside. Cuts back towards the inside up the hash marks. She has enough for the first down, diving towards the 25. It's about a 16-yard carry.
These Alberta players and these coaches, perhaps especially the ones looking from upstairs rather than on the field level, are noticing a possible weakness in the middle defense of this Ontario team. Perhaps the ends and the corners are better than the linebackers. Alberta not getting too excited just yet. There's plenty of time for anything to happen.
And a flag there from the official. I believe it's going to be time count. It is. I haven't really seen many of those so far in this tournament.
Yeah, that's the first one I've seen. But first week of high school football, that's all it is offsides and time counts. That's why I usually skip the first week. By week 2, week 3, they've pretty much figured out all those scenarios.
Time penalty. Alberta number 1, 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
1st and 20. Ontario wants to keep Alberta as far away from any sort of successful kick. They saw the field goal go through. If they could force them to 1, that would be important. That's sort of the advantage and disadvantage of your kickers being your offensive players as well, because they don't have time to snap or practice punting because they're busy being on the field.
Trudeau lining up in the shotgun again, motion into the backfield. Hand off to Abby Vu, runs up the middle, stopped there by the Ontario defender, Alyssa Pistario. It's going to bring up 2nd and about 18.
Pretty short gain on the play, 2nd down.
Again, Ontario's been able to break through with giant plays, 3 giant plays, 70 yards plus. Saskatchewan put in a heck of an effort against Ontario back on Wednesday. But those 3 big plays were their Achilles heel for sure.
A pass there from Olivia Trudeau up the middle, finding her Airdrie Raider team, that's a South Calgary Colts Saffel member. Alyssa Graham on the reception. Saffel connection with 1:39 to go, and Ontario calling a timeout. Of course, we do want to remind all our viewers to stay tuned following the game for our Player of the Game awards, as well as our closing ceremonies, which will feature a lot of our tournament awards as well. And Dave can see me texting and filling out scripts here beside him, just trying to fill out the information I'm being provided as we get all the information live.
Yeah, the game awards and the tournament awards are going to be very interesting to find out. I don't envy the judges whatsoever.
Lots of talented players to select from for all of these teams here at the tournament representing their provinces. Third and about 12 for Team Alberta. Call it 3rd and 13, and it's Portia Tomlinson back to punt for Team Alberta. High snap forces her back. She fires that one away. trying to pin Ontario deep. It bounces towards the sideline. It's fielded by number 21, Katie Foley, and she's wrapped up quickly by Lacey Muth. Ontario pinned deep in their own end. It's 1st and 10 from the 10.
The advanced tackling by the defense and special teams has been nothing less than outstanding for Alberta, and that's been a huge adjustment from the Quebec game and the Ontario game back on Wednesday and Sunday. I've just been so impressed with how they've been able to read and anticipate and then execute.
Ball is snapped. Throw there from the Ontario quarterback up the near sideline. That is somehow caught by Quinna Grant. She had a defender all over her. It is close to the sideline.
The Alberta fans were begging for a holding call, absolutely begging for one.
And they're saying Grant was out of bounds, Dave.
Watch the replay here. I'll let you be the judge.
She did catch the ball, but she was close to that sideline. We'll take a look here. Slowing it right down.
Great.
Her foot is on the line as she catches the ball right on that 0.
The Canadian rules.
That is the correct call. That is a tight call, but that is the correct call, and a great job on the slow motion replay there from our broadcast crew. Another throw there for Team Ontario. Parthenay finding Katie Foley.
Yep. The foot was on the out of bounds blue line.
Rob Chan on the tackle.
Some replays where there's literally a millimeter that you can see in some NFL cameras, and those, of course, you need both feet in for that. But yeah, Alberta demanded a holding penalty. They didn't get it, but they got an incompletion instead.
Scramble there from Parthenay. She finds her receiver, number 33. This time Grant tackled out of bounds. Just outside the 30 by number 11, Alexis Peno. It is going to be enough for a first down for Team Ontario. 56 seconds to go in this fourth quarter.
Again, even if they can score, they have to do something. I guess they'd probably try to do a 1-point run-in, convert just to tie it, and then play overtime just like the boys did. Of course, we're counting chickens a little bit too fast, but you never know.
A deep pass downfield intended for Katie Foley, but it falls incomplete. It's going to bring up 2nd and 10.
2nd down.
Yeah, they're in 3-down territory for sure. Again, Parthenay just 2 for 12 for 33 yards in the game against Saskatchewan, despite all the points that they scored.
Ball is snapped. Parthenay scrambling towards the far side. Picked off! Isabella McFall with the INT for Team Alberta, and that will pretty much seal it here in this gold medal game. 46 seconds to go.
Well, she's got the longest drive back, Cole, but that means it's going to be the longest celebration all the way up in Grand Prairie. And that is a huge moment. Again, the defense has been absolutely spectacular today, allowing 0 points through 3 quarters minus a minute. 4 quarters minus a minute.
Long huddle here for Team Alberta.
Again, just great vision. You could see that Parthenay had 1 target.
Ball snapped. Olivia Trudeau will take the knee. It's a very deep knee. Not sure if that was necessarily the right play call from the coaching side of things. Usually you take the knee under center. Just gonna have to wait an awful lot of clock off now. So the clock slowly ticks down. Early snap from Trudeau. 26 seconds to go. It's going to bring up 3rd down. And Ontario smartly calling a timeout. They still had one left, so not maybe the best decision making by the Alberta coaching staff. I think you need to get that first down, force out that timeout earlier than what they did.
Still 26 seconds.
Well, the other thing is they've lost about 10 yards on both of those knees from Trudeau, and
yeah, you're giving
that's
up.
made that field even longer now for that punt.
Yeah, I wouldn't be celebrating on the Alberta bench all too quickly here. The Alberta fans in the stands below us certainly aren't any louder than they were before.
Well, we've seen kick returns so far for
times
for Ontario, and
who the heck
there's
knows?
lots of time still on the clock. Portia Tomlinson back to punt for Team Alberta. Does she opt to just run around with it? Ball snapped, ball away. It is blocked by Ontario. Bouncing now towards the 40.
It'll
Flag
be no
down
yards.
for no yards, and that's turning the corner. Katie Foley, not many to beat now. Tomlinson diving, missing the tackle. Foley only one to beat. She will go the whole way.
Oh my God.
And Ontario with 3 seconds to go has leveled this game. It's going to come down to, or pardon me, they're down by 1. It's going to come down to the convert, Dave. That's going to be a no yards penalty called against Team Alberta.
They'll decline.
And then what do you do here? Your converts have not gone good on the kick. If you kick it, you win. If you keep it on the ground, you tie.
Well,
and likely force overtime.
0 for 2 on the convert attempts with
and they really haven't really been good all week either.
And it's starting to rain. So you probably go for the 1-pointer to tie it.
And the quarterback is back on the field, David. It all comes down to this. This is a massive convert attempt if you're Team Ontario. Your gold medal championship hopes rely on this play. Team Alberta fans saying block that kick. I don't think they realize that it's going to be a passing play. As Parthene lining up in the shotgun. Motion now from her receivers. Ball snapped. It's a bad snap. The rain playing a bit of a factor. Scrambling, throwing towards the end zone. Wide open receiver. And that is caught by Quinna Grant. The convert is good. It is tied at 19 with 3 seconds to go here in the fourth quarter.
So is it CFL style overtime?
I think we should still have a convert. We should still have 3 seconds on the clock.
Can you believe what we just saw?
Still 3 seconds left in the game. Timer, please restart it for 3 seconds. Thank you.
Unbelievable. But
Quebec.
unfortunately, we were kind of predicting this goal where,
oh boy,
3 kicks for scores, and their only offensive point has been that 1-point convert for 3 yards.
I really have to question the Alberta coaching staff on taking those long knees on that drive with Ontario still having a timeout left. That was like, you had to go for a first down at least. They're forced out that timeout, but they didn't, and it's now cost them. And yes, I believe it is going to be CFL style of overtime. I'm not entirely sure where they're going to be starting.
So there would be no kicking.
Correct.
Or in this case, no kick returning, if you're an Alberta fan.
You're going to need confirmation on overtime, Liz.
Well, if you thought the boys was exciting going overtime, you're about to get a duplicate. Same 2 provinces as well.
And ball is kicked off deep from Ontario, bouncing towards that far sideline, and the Alberta player touched it. She should have let it go. It would have been a penalty flag.
Kickoff taken by number 6.
She could have had 10 more yards, Dave.
That's absolutely true, yeah. But at this point, you either score an 80-yard touchdown or a 70-yard touchdown. It doesn't really matter. But I understand your point completely.
Well, the umbrellas are coming up as the Rain slowly starts to fall here at Shoaldice Athletic Park. It's held off the entire week of games. Players have practiced in the rain. Alberta finally calling a timeout. They still have one more to go in 3 seconds.
This is either the best time for the rain or the worst time.
Depending on which side of the ball you're on. I think on the offense, you don't want the rain. Defense, you kind of like it because it makes it harder to catch for the receivers. But boy, howdy, we've had a wild one. As Dave is unfortunately having to depart. Other commitments. It has been a pleasure.
I'll watch the archive.
It has been a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
And yes, you'll definitely need to watch the archive and see how this one ends.
Can't be late for work 2 nights in a row.
I mean, you can. It's overtime. But what a return from Team Ontario. Katie Foley finding that hole and taking it to the house. Ball snapped. Olivia Trudeau back in the backfield, scrambling towards the near side of the field, throwing it deep downfield. Open receiver, and just missing the target was Dot Trudeau. Had that gotten there, there was no defenders between her and the end zone. It falls incomplete, and that will do it for 4 quarters. And we're heading to overtime here at Hillard Fields. We'll have a confirmation for you on what the overtime rules will be. Because a lot of us aren't used to these Football Alberta tournaments. We don't really know exactly what's happening. Taking a look at how we got here. Ontario, 3 kicks. 1 kickoff return, 2 punts returned for touchdowns. Alberta, a pair of QB keepers and a field goal. Actually, a pair of field goals, pardon me. Because it's a 19-19 deadlock. Ontario also missing those converts as well on all but the last one. Fairly costly in the grand scheme of things, but nonetheless, we are level at 19. Captain and coach coming out for each team for the overtime procedures. For our camera angle, go back out to the middle of the field. Maybe we might get to see the coin toss. There we go. Right onto the field. I was not expecting that camera angle. Quick explanation from our head official. So it's going to be similar to CFL rules. Each team will scrimmage from around the 35.
Rules for overtime. Both teams will get possession from the 35. First team, after those 2, see who scores. The winner will be determined.
Ontario possession.
Do you mean all the players? Just the field level so that we can line them up right after the overtime.
Can we get all players from all teams to field level, please? All players from all teams to field level.
So we're lining up on the 35-yard line at the north end zone, north side of the fields. Our broadcast left, kind of towards the Ontario bench over there.
Get the first possession on Ontario's 35.
Alberta will have the first possession of the overtime. This could be What ultimately decides the game, each team will get a crack at it. This is not NFL overtime rules. It's just CFL overtime rules, so each team will get a crack at the overtime. Kind of like soccer penalty kick style. Olivia Trudeau lining up in the shotgun. 2 receivers to her left. Motioning out of the backfield, Alyssa Graham, and now Abby Vu faking the handoff is Trudeau. She scrambles up the middle, has about 8 yards on the carry. It's going to make it second down for Team Alberta.
Tackled by number 21, Katie Foley. That'll be second down.
Second and 3 now. For Team Alberta. Trudeau hanging off to Abby Vu. She's wrapped up. Brought down near the first down marker, and there's a penalty flag down on the play.
Flag on the play.
Unnecessary roughness. Horse collar tackle. Ontario.
Horse collar tackle called against Team Ontario at the end of the play as an additional 15 yards upfield for the white and blue. It's going to be first and 10 just outside the 10-yard line. Trudeau in the shotgun. Motion from her receiver. She keeps it herself, running towards that far side. Breaking the tackle and in for the touchdown. Olivia Trudeau with the Airdrie Raiders gives Alberta the lead in the overtime. Just what you want to do, putting all of the pressure now on Ontario. Of course, there is still the convert to be had. Portia Tomlinson will line up for the extra point kick for Team Alberta. Of course, convert points are reversed, so the kick is worth 2. Ball down, ball through. All of the pressure is now on Team Ontario as Alberta gets all 8 points that they needed off of their drive, and Ontario has struggled through this tournament on that extra point kick. They will now scramble from their own 35-yard line going in. And this game could not get any more tense if you're Team Ontario. The Alberta crowd getting loud, supporting their girls in white and blue. Ontario in the red have possession. It's Parthenay scrambling back, quick little toss with a big hit by Brielle McDonald-Robchan. That ball pops free. I'm not sure if it hit the ground. I think it should be ruled an incomplete pass. Beautifully timed hit and a massive hit from the Calgary Wildcat defender. Let's look at this replay one more time. Parthenay scrambling towards her right, little toss over the middle, and Brielle McDonald-Robchan hitting that timing to perfection, forcing that ball out. Incomplete will make it second and 10. Ball snap, Parthenay scrambling towards her right. That pass toward the far side of the field, falling incomplete. It's going to bring up third and 10 for Team Ontario. It's all going to come down to this, folks. One more play. It all comes down to this. Parthenay in the shotgun. Ball snapped. throwing towards the near side of the field. Downfield, tight coverage. Ball knocked down. Alberta wins in overtime. Final score 27-19. On the heels of the boys winning in overtime in a comeback fashion in Nova Scotia, the girls do it here in Calgary at home, defeating Ontario. It's twice gold for Alberta. And the U18 women in white and blue will get their third crown in women's history. And we do have some adverse weather coming in, so our award trophy presentations could get a little interesting here, ladies and gentlemen, but we will try to do our best to have all of the coverage on it. We are watching the clouds as we are moving under lightning risk.
We are currently under lightning risk. We ask everybody to clear the field, please.
All teams will be going into their own locker rooms.
Lightning risk, can you please clear the field? Thank you. Teams, return to your respective.
And I think that might do it for our broadcast. Stay tuned on our feed. We might come back with our award presentations following a lightning delay. We are under a sudden lightning risk at Shoaldice Hellard Fields. It waited just long enough for us to finish final score Alberta 25, Ontario 19. 27 for Alberta, Ontario 19. There's our final stats and standings. I'm going to be safe and head out of this room because I'm currently sitting on a metal floor on the top of the bleachers. And if we lose coverage, it's because the bleachers have been hit by lightning, or it's because Football Canada shut it off. But yeah, stay tuned. We might come back with our award presentations. I am not sure. Regardless, they should be posted on social media and on the Football Canada website, so stay tuned to there. We'll have complete coverage regardless of what happens, to the best of our abilities. In the meantime, if we do not come back on the stream, thank you so much on behalf of the tournament committee and everyone here at Hellard Field and Shoaldice Athletic Park for tuning in to the 2025 Women's National Tournament. Alberta champions over Team Ontario.
Can we have all teams return to their locker rooms, please? All teams to their locker rooms. Attention all fans, you are permitted to enter the team's locker rooms. Please seek shelter, not underneath the bleachers, please. Please seek shelter. You can go into your respective team's locker rooms.